All right, this is working. Welcome to Mobile Monday. My name is Tальмон Marco, and I'm CEO of Viber. Viber Media, that's the company behind Viber. Today I'm going to discuss Viber. I'm going to also go over one of the hottest trends in mobile communications, and maybe a few more things. But before that, I wanted to share an experience. A few days ago, I downloaded a piece of software from the internet. I installed it, and I got the most frustrating message. The version of my operating system of my Mac OS was apparently not up to date, so I could not install this piece of software. So initially, it's kind of frustrating. You want to install something, and boom, you can't. But then, as a developer, and at heart, I guess all of us are developers, some more at heart than some actually do it, and ask myself, why is it that I get this message? And the answer is that if I was not able, as a developer, to deliver to a user a message that says, your software is out of date, your hardware is out of date, then I would need to support that previous hardware, and that previous hardware before it, and that previous operating system, going all the way back. If you really go all the way back, this is probably what my MacBook would look like. It would run DOS. I don't know how many of you actually got to see this because you look kind of young. But trust me, you don't want this. Now, this sounds kind of weird, kind of ridiculous. What is this guy talking about? I mean, of course, hardware progresses, software progresses, and you are not going to run a 1980s era software or hardware on today's MacBook. Really. Let's look at another piece of hardware that I own. Where is it? It's this one, the iPhone 4. The iPhone 4 is a beautiful phone. I mean, HTC makes great phones, but so does Apple. And this phone, surprisingly, is 100% compatible with this phone, right? So actually here, I have another one, but they are absolutely compatible, right? You can call from one phone to the other. But you think this is it? Wait until I show you what I have here. The iPhone 4 is also compatible with this, right? They can talk, they work together, but that's not enough. They're actually compatible with this, the big mother, okay? This is the original phone, or one of those phones, made by Alexander Graham Bell in 1876. So 135, 136 years ago. What phones do, phones allow us to communicate. So when I talk, you can hear everything I say in the range of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. But that's here. If you're actually using Alexander Graham Bell's phone, you only get 3.3 kilohertz, which is still kind of cool because, it's 1876. You call somebody from New Jersey to Philadelphia, 3.3 kilohertz is not bad. But then we upgrade the phone system. It's the 1960s. We introduced digital phones, right? Well, we need to be compatible, so 3.3 kilohertz. And then we introduced GSM in the 90s. Well, 3.2 kilohertz. We're making progress. And then we get my iPhone 4. I'm not going to take it out of my pocket again, but 3.2, 3.3 kilohertz again. They are all compatible. So 135 years have passed, and the phones sound exactly the same. In fact, if you plug that original phone from 1876 into your jack at home, assuming you have a landline, there's a fair chance it's going to work. It's amazing, but do we really want this? I mean, are we willing to pay the price of this compatibility? Okay? AT&T, the original phone company made by Bell that has been dictating the standards, for many, many years, gets us to this point. Now, we love AT&T. Some of us actually are even customers of AT&T. But is this good? There is a price to pay for interoperability and standards. When you want full interoperability going all the way back, you're going to get to the least common denominator. You're going to get the most basic services. It means that in 2012, you will get 3.3 kilohertz. And one of you was asking earlier, what is the phone going to look like in 2025? Well, maybe it'll have a better camera. Maybe it will have, a really cool alloy. But if it's up to the carriers, it's going to have 3.3 kilohertz. By the way, they've been talking about high-definition audio for a decade or two. A couple of years ago, a few friends of mine and myself sat down and decided, we're going to try and do things differently. We're going to build it again from scratch. And we're going to build it on IP instead of on that old infrastructure from the 19th century. We were going to call it Viber. Today, almost 18 months, actually almost 17 months, less than a year and a half after we launched, we have almost 70 million users. That's 70 million registered, activated users in less than a year and a half with zero advertising and with minimal PR. And that's quite the achievement. Apparently, we are not the only ones that believe that you can make things different. So what is Viber? First and foremost, Viber is an application that allows you to call other people and message them over the internet using internet infrastructure. So it's an application on your iPhone, on your Android, and soon on a bunch of other platforms. And we allow you to communicate using IP. So we're dumping away the old infrastructure. We're dumping away the codecs, and we're building it from scratch. But we're not dumping away everything. We're dumping only the things that we don't like. For example, one of the things that we do like are the phone numbers. So with Viber, your phone number is your user ID. So you don't have to be, Sergey123A. You can actually be 375 and so on. It's a small thing. But it's a huge advantage. And the reason why this is a huge advantage is because we can then look at your phone book and say, okay, the phone book on your mobile phone, and say, who else is on Viber? And that means that the process of what's called onboarding, the process of getting on Viber, is so much faster. You give us your phone number, we verify it, we look at your phone book, and we tell you, okay, this, and this. I have about 250 people that I know that are on Viber, and I've seen people that have many more, are on Viber. Let's compare this to Skype. A lot of people like to compare us to Skype. I wonder why. With Skype, you register. You provide your user ID, which you make up, enter a password, verify the password, your birth date, whatever, how much money you make a year. I don't know what they ask you. And then you need to go to these 200 friends of yours and ask each and every one of them, what is your user ID? Then you take each one of these, you add them, they need to approve you, and then you have your list of friends. In my opinion, if you have 200 friends, it's going to take you a couple of months to go and chase each and every one of them. With Viber, it will take you 30 seconds. Really. I delete and install my Viber every day, almost every day, because they keep giving me new versions and, technical stuff. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and actually I even have a prize. I have a VIP ticket to the after party, and I'm going to give it to whoever can guess how long it took us to get to 1 million downloads after our global launch. And that's without, without advertising, without anybody knowing us, without being Google, Facebook, and so on.
1 week, 1 month, 1 hour.
No.
1 million seconds.
Who said 3 days? Well, you're close enough. This would have been embarrassing if I fell. Who was it?
Thank you.
3 days? You know what? I have another one. But that's it.
Actually, it wasn't quite easy to put out.
Well, I'm not going to take it away anyway. I knew somebody was going to cheat. So, I don't think I need these glasses. Viber is what is known in the industry as an over-the-top provider. Today, I wanted to talk about what is over the top and why it's happening. I wanted to share some color stories. I mean, on one hand, you can call them color stories. On the other hand, they could provide some interesting insight if you're looking to develop your own product about Viber behind the scenes, and discuss a bit about Viber in Belarus. I'm just going to read this. OTT, or over-the-top, is a service that is provided via the internet rather than a traditional infrastructure. In the case of Netflix, Netflix is an American provider of video over the internet, streaming video. So you can watch TV shows, movies, and they provide that over the internet, over the top, instead of over traditional cable infrastructure or the airwaves. Pandora is a radio service. They are also an over-the-top provider. They provide radio over the internet instead of over the airwaves. And Viber offers free phone calls, free messaging, again, over the internet. Yet another over-the-top provider. People ask us, so why do people get Viber? And the answer is, frankly, at least initially, it's because it's free, right? You can't argue with that price point. People love free stuff, especially when it's free stuff that they want. You can call people, next door or, half a world away. You can never go full world away. It's half a world, I guess, is the maximum. For free. But what is the future? Why are people going to get Viber in the future? And the answer is, as said by an insurance company a few years ago in one of their ads, they said, I came because of the price, I stayed because of the service. And I think that's fundamental to where over-the-top providers are going. If you look at Viber, then today we already offer high-definition audio. So when you talk to somebody on Viber, you actually get to hear them the way they really sound. You get all that 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. It's not limited. So we're already offering things that you could not get with your regular phone. That's, I stayed because of the service. When you send a message on Viber, you can actually get an indication that it was delivered. Today, when I send somebody an SMS, a regular SMS, if I have to send one, if they don't have Viber, I feel a certain level of uncertainty. Did they get it? Did they not? I mean, I didn't necessarily have that certainty feeling 3 years ago, but now that I'm used to seeing that delivered thing, it's addictive. I want to know that this person actually got my message. Otherwise, how do I know? I can share my location when I send the message, so the person on the other side knows where I am. It may be important, or it may not be important. Groups. I don't think we should put groups here. That's something we didn't discuss yet officially. So, don't say it. There are many more possibilities. Think of it. Let's say I'll give you an example. You're on the phone, and the person on the other side asks you, where are you? So actually it happened a few times here since we got to Belarus in the last few days. And I don't know where I am. I don't know how to explain where I am. I mean, if I could hit a button on my phone and the other person would see a map, that would be kind of cool. Now, let's say we wanted this service, okay? I wanted this service. I wanted Viber to have this service. I would go to Igor, our CTO. He would probably say it doesn't make any sense because he doesn't want to write it. But after some begging, he would do it, I hope. And a month or two later, all of you would have it. Now, let's try and figure out how long it would take to deliver such a service in regular telephony. Well, I don't know, but let's try and look at past performance as an indication of how long it's going to take. Let's see how well they did. Let's look at what's called the scorecard. So, the last service that is truly interoperable offered in the mobile world was introduced about 30 years ago. That's voice. Voice kind of works. You know, you call somebody on another phone in another country, and you can hear them. SMS, if we're talking international, let's give it 95%. I mean, I was texting a friend of mine who actually sits here, and he moved from one operator to the other in his own country, and he couldn't get it because my operator didn't know that his operator actually has changed. Anyway, it doesn't work. And then we talk about MMS. MMS. Any of you ever use MMS? Yeah. I wonder why. I can tell you that 3% of messages, not of users, 3% of messages on Viber are picture messages. People actually do want to send pictures. They're sending millions of them on Viber. I wonder why nobody uses MMS. Maybe because it doesn't work. But, you know, I'm sorry? It's free on Viber. We will give you free picture messages on Viber. I don't have the coupon, but actually it really is free. The MMS standard has been ratified, has been finalized in 2002. They had this document that says, this is how you do picture messages. And it's still not working. 10 years and you can't send a picture message. So how long is it going to take them to deliver that feature that, you know, we just came up with? I don't know. And I think that's the important thing about over-the-top. If there is one thing that you have to take about over-the-top, about what over-the-top really is, if I had to distill it and summarize it in a simple sentence, I would say that over-the-top is about raising the bar of what is possible. Okay? We're raising the bar on what is possible. Today, what is possible is limited by the bureaucracy. It's limited by 800 carriers, by hundreds of handset vendors having to talk to each other. They're all nice people, but they're limited by the bureaucracy. Over the top is raising the bar of what's possible from bureaucracy to our imagination. This is the only thing that limits us. If we can think of something, we can build it. I mean, IP is limitless. Let's talk a bit about Viber and some behind-the-scenes stories. When we set out to build Viber, we wanted to keep it simple. We wanted to build the most simple, basic user experience so everybody can use it and use it easily. And the first thing that you do when you start using a product is you register, unless it doesn't have registration at all. With Viber, we skip registration. You give us your phone number, and that's it. No password, no emails, no date of birth, no Facebook account, no, social security, what have you. Just your phone number. And then you get to the application. And we said, how are we going to build a phone? Well, we don't need to reinvent the phone, right? I mean, if you're using an iPhone, what's the easiest way for you to use a phone interface? Well, it's the one you know. And the one on the right, right? Yes. So, this is what the regular phone looks like. And this is Viber. And as you can see, we made some dramatic changes. We painted it in purple. And we wrote Viber, just in case. Maybe you have a black and white version. And everything else stayed the same. The keypad stays the same. If I could click this and show you contacts, but you can download it from the App Store, you'll see it for yourself. The contacts stay the same. The recent calls stay the same. All the behavior stayed the same. And as developers, this is one piece of advice I can give you. If you're writing an application, don't reinvent the wheel unless you need to. Keep it simple so users can actually use it. Because the amount of time that you have, the amount of attention that users will give you for a new application is slim. It's virtually zero. An interesting thing about running applications on iPhone, on developing applications, is that you don't get a beta program. Launching something like Viber without a beta program is pretty much like committing suicide. There's no way it's going to work on a massive scale. None. You need a beta program. But Apple would not give us one. It's just not possible. And I'm not complaining about Apple. This is, how things are being done. Google has its own challenges. Microsoft has its own challenges. But with Apple, there is no beta program. But we needed one. So we kind of tweaked the system. What we did, we took out the country and we said, okay, this entire country is going to be our beta. Every user in this country will be our beta user, or potentially our beta user. We chose one country. We chose Israel because we also do development in Israel. And we enabled Viber only in Israel. And then we went to a few of our friends in Israel, and we asked them to try our software. See what you think, give us some feedback, share it with a few friends, and let's see how things go. So the first day, the dates are, what you would call in reverse, but month first. So on November 9th, 2010, we gave it to 17 friends, or 15 or so, whatever. And the next day, we saw 80 new people show up. And so, oh, cool, this is viral. The next day, we had 25. And as you can see, over the next 2 weeks until the 23rd, things just kept growing and growing and growing very nicely. And we were really thrilled because it was growing. And then, on the 24th, the numbers jumped. We got to 125 users. And we were like, wow, this is really happening. But we didn't know what was going to happen the next day. You kind of do because, you can see the numbers. The next day, we were at 1,400 users. And then it went over 3,000 and over 5,000. And then everybody started talking about it. We would hear, people talk about it on the radio, on TV, media. Everybody was, and we didn't do any PR. We didn't do any advertising. We were actually trying to stay under the radar. We didn't want international media to pick on it. And then, on December 2nd, we launched internationally. We started with one article. That's all we did. This was all of our PR was one article on TechCrunch. We didn't pay the guy. We really didn't. He evaluated the product a couple of days before, told us he thinks this was okay, and this was the headline of his article. Viber for iPhone aims to rival Skype's app. It's amazingly amazing. And, we opened this in the morning and go like, whoa, this is so cool. And by the end of the first 24 hours after launch, we had 100,000 users. And I remember meeting somebody the next day at some event in London. And, I told him, I have this new application. Maybe you want to try it. He was like, so what, I'm going to be one of your first 100 users? And I'm like, not quite. A few more. But scaling is not easy. Today, we have 70 million phone books. Remember, you upload, you share your phone books. By the way, we ask you if you want to share your phone book, and we maintain super strict privacy. I don't have access to this phone book. There are a couple of guys that have access to it. So privacy is really strict, and we went through several iterations on our privacy policy with our users. But that's a separate story. We maintain 70 million phone books on our servers. But that's the tip of the iceberg, because when a new friend of yours joins Viber, you would like your Viber gets updated. You get a tag next to their name that says they're on Viber. And as I'm sure at least some of you understand, that means that you can do this in one of two ways if you want to do it in real time. One, you can go and scan 70 million phone books and see, which of them has that number and update them. And we're adding 230,000 users a day. So you multiply 230,000 users by 70 million phone books, and we would probably have Google-like infrastructure. Or you build something a little smarter. You maintain what we call a reverse phone book. So that's another 2.3 billion reverse phone books. We maintain about 15 million users online connected at any given point in time, even though Viber will actually let you receive phone calls when you're offline. You can completely turn off, kill the application, you will still get calls, but it works better. Over 100,000 concurrent phone calls at any given point in time. Viber is actually a little telco, I shouldn't say that, with quite a lot of users and quite a lot of calls. We do tens of millions of messages every day. This sort of scaling doesn't come without its challenges. We had to rewrite our servers a couple of times to handle the load. At the end of the first week, the guy running our servers says, we may have a problem. Go like, what do you mean? Says like, I don't know if we can handle the load. So I was like, what do you mean? It's this guy. He tells me, we're running out of capacity. You told me it was scalable. I was like, yes, scalable, but not to these numbers. So we had to review the meaning of scalable in the dictionary. But apparently, it didn't mean scalable. I'm just going to write Apple and move to the next line in the list of challenges. Android fragmentation. We maintain over 50 devices in the lab. HTC makes great devices. We have a bunch of them in the lab. I wish we got them for free. But we also maintain Samsung devices, Huawei devices, Motorola devices. There's actually a guy that keeps all the boxes. It's a really nice structure with all those phone boxes. And making sure that Viber works on all of these devices, actually HTC devices are some of the easiest to develop too. They really are. Is not easy. And then you have, the occasional server catastrophe. And over here, the guy who's in charge of our servers had to stay awake 36 hours during one of these catastrophes. That was the worst of them. I don't know how he keeps smiling. Maybe this was Photoshop. We've made a few more core decisions along the way. Actually, we made them early on. We do not want to buy servers. We do not want to own things. It's enough that we own these, phones. So early on, we decided to go with cloud computing. I don't know if this is relevant for everybody, but for a small company, and we are a small company, that doesn't know how it's going to grow, that can be a lifesaver. So we went with Amazon, had our own share of challenges over there. But today we maintain hundreds of servers with Amazon. We also maintain a lot of servers dispersed geographically all over the world, but let's not get into that. We decided that we were going to stick to open source, an open source foundation. And that's important, not only at the, let's call it the values level, but that also means that if we run into a problem, and that's both on the back end as well as the clients, then we don't need to wait for support from some company. We can actually dig in, take a look, and see what's going on. So, if possible, our recommendation would be, stick to open source. It's also cheaper. And we want Viber to be available to everybody. because it's not enough that iPhone and Android users can communicate with each other. We want everybody to be able to communicate with each other. So that means that we are actively developing on more platforms. This is not one of them. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what is this guy doing here? Why did I come to Minsk, aside from the great weather and the beautiful city, to talk to you about Viber? And the reason is, and that's something that most of you probably don't know, is that Viber is made in Belarus. We have about 40 people in Belarus, which makes Belarus our largest territory by head count, developing Viber. So that Viber client that you have in your pocket or in your hand was developed here on iPhone, on Android, and on a bunch of other platforms. And I have to say that I met here some of the brightest, most talented people, developers that I've ever met. But I didn't meet everybody, and we'd love to meet more. We are growing. We'd love to see more people joining us. We'd love to see more people dream and build the future of communication with us. So if you're interested, drop us a line. This is, our selfish sales pitch to hr.blr@viber.com. We are hiring, and we'd love to see you join us. And since we started this presentation, about 5,000 people joined Viber. Thank you.